up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Kevin Jackwitz here with the Cage Nation. And I just got done watching WWE Fastlane, and it's March 11th, 2018. And, this was a really mixed bag of a show for me. It had a couple of really high points and a couple of why did you even put this in the show points. Starts off right away with Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev. Now, I automatically assumed that Shinsuke was going to win since he's already got his spot at WrestleMania. So, really just a filler match. It was okay for what it was. It was, decent. They had a couple of, cool spots, but not anything spectacular. Nothing really jumped out and caught my interest. It was what it was. And usually I think opening matches should be, something fast-paced or something the crowd is into. And the crowd were into the characters, but I don't think they were necessarily into the match too much. At the beginning of the show, they were chanting, the Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev Day chants. But that was about the extent of it. So, of course, Shinsuke picks up the win, like I thought he would. It would really make no sense to have Rusev win this match. It would only hurt Shinsuke, especially going into WrestleMania. So, filler match, predictable outcome, not much to it, honestly, in my opinion. That's how I felt about the opening. So that leads right into the promo that starts up the match for Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode, U.S. Championship match. And early on, it looked like Bobby Roode really got hurt. Randy Orton did a slingshot where he dropped Bobby Roode stomach first on the top rope. And something must have happened there because Roode was holding his side the rest of the match. Like, he was in obvious pain. Every time he took a shot to the gut, he would scream. Anytime he landed on his back, he'd actually grab his stomach. So, something happened. And of course, injuries are going to happen in here. But it looked like he was struggling through the match. He's still, you have to give him credit though, even though you could tell he was really struggling with some things. He pulled off a decent match. I think Randy Orton and Bobby Roode had a better match than Shinsuke and Rusev. Which I wouldn't normally say that would be the case, but I think in this particular pay-per-view, that's exactly what happened. And it finishes off, Bobby Roode's on the second rope. He jumps off to do a move. Randy Orton hits him with an RKO. And Orton wins, new U.S. champion. So now Randy Orton is officially a Grand Slam champion. And, they were doing the talking smack after the pay-per-view, and Randy was talking about how there's, very few wrestlers that are Grand Slam champions, a very short list. So now he's added to that list, which I will say, I think definitely gives him credibility beyond what he already has. So, I kind of would have liked to have seen Bobby Roode keep the belt because he's a younger talent. He needs the bigger push. He needs the momentum. Randy Orton is at this point a legend. He's a first-round Hall of Famer for sure. So, I don't know. I feel like maybe they could have given it to Roode, but that's alright. I don't hate Randy Orton at all. I think he's really, really good in the ring. I mean, he's slowing down. He's getting a little bit older, but not by much. Not by much at all, honestly. I think the match he had shows that he's still got every bit of what he had. And then I know that we're leading up to WrestleMania. This is the pay-per-view right before WrestleMania. And I understand that they're trying to build up some things, but I think on a SmackDown pay-per-view, you're wasting time on a pay-per-view building up a Raw match. And they did a couple of promos during this that lasted, I think, too long. The first one was the Ronda Rousey Kurt Angle versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H bit. And I mean, the promo was like 10 minutes long or something. And it's like, you know, if you're going to show something, okay, fine, make it quick. This is a pay-per-view though. And this is where WWE sucks. This is where everything's got commercialized and they're taking away important time from the brand that they're actually showing the pay-per-view for. I don't like stuff like that. So you get the promo for the Rousey segment that's going to happen at WrestleMania. And then you get a real quick backstage bit with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And, you know, Sami Zayn's being like, look, that match didn't mean anything last week. I'm going to lay it down for you, blah, blah, blah. And Kevin Owens just walks away. So, building up that feud. It was kind of cool, but, you know, nothing special. Then you get to what I think was the worst part of the whole night, which was Naomi and Becky Lynch versus Carmella and Natalya. And this match was plagued with missed spots. I've been very outspoken about my dislike for Carmella, and this match just wholly backed that up. She is not a wrestler. She has no business trying to be a wrestler right now. She needs to go back, study, train, do whatever she needs to do, and then try to come back, maybe to NXT first. She is a lot of hot garbage in the ring. She's good on a mic. She's good at promos. She is not good in the ring. And, you know, she's the type of girl that would have been great in the Divas division. And I've said before, you know, I think she sets the women's division back about 10 years because her matches, and you can watch, this one is no exception. You have slapping, you know, the little girly slapping, kicking on the ground, and a lot of high-pitched screaming. That's not what I want to see in a women's wrestler. If I want to see a women's wrestler, I want to see a wrestling match. I want to see the Sasha Banks, the Asukas, the Baileys, the Charlottes. And this girl doesn't even come close. She couldn't tie their laces without screwing up. So, a bunch of botches, a few of them thanks to Carmella, just a fucking garbage match. I actually put fucking garbage in my notes. That's what I thought about this match. I didn't care at all. And at the end, they actually let Carmella pin the best women's wrestler in the match, Becky Lynch. Which I thought was... Ugh. Becky Lynch is an actual wrestler. She can come out there, she can entertain. Now, she does need to work on her promos a bit, I think. But they're not horrible. They're just not great. But in the ring, she's much better. And I hated seeing Carmella go over Becky Lynch. Hated it. Absolutely couldn't stand it. So that was that match. Bunch of hot garbage. And then you come to the New Day versus the Usos. This was actually a pretty cool match. While it lasted. You had a really cool idea that the teams seemed to have where they were just stealing each other's moves. You had the Usos going for Trouble in Paradise and a couple other staple moves from the New Day. The New Day doing that like big splash that the Usos do where, you know, you have one of them doing the super kick and the other one jumps off the top rope for the splash. And they were just trading moves all match. It was a really fun match to watch. I've always loved watching the New Day and the Usos. They're both really good performing teams. They have 5 very good characters that they use, and the match ended when the Bludgeon Brothers came out. It turned into a double Bludgeon Brothers, Harper and Rowan, they came down, they literally just run through everybody, all 5 guys in New Day and Usos. And, definitely this segment was making them out to be monsters. The crowd did not like it. You could hear the boos. Clearly they felt like they wanted to see a good match, and this was not what they wanted to see as an end to this good match. I don't know that I necessarily felt as passionate about the ending. Like, I think that the Bludgeon Brothers need to be validated and they need to be built up, and hopefully they're actually going to do something with what they did here in the coming weeks. I was disappointed that, the match got cut short and it was a double disqualification. I mean, of course, you'd always like to see a winner and things like that, but you can't always do that, otherwise things get stale. If every match ends the same, you're wasting product there. So I guess I'm not really hating how they did it. I'm just hoping that they follow through and really build the Bludgeon Brothers up. Harper and Rowan. Harper, I really, really like. A guy for his size should not be able to move like he does. Doing the suicide dives and throwing his body on the line like he does is pretty fun to watch. Rowan, he's a bit bigger and not as agile as Harper, but he's got a good look to him. And when you put the two together, they seem to gel very well. So that was my thoughts on the Usos New Day match. Like I said, I really hope they follow through with the Bludgeon Brothers. And it'll be interesting to see if they do anything with the Usos and the New Day in the coming weeks to try to tie up the loose end of that match. After that, you get a backstage interview with AJ Styles, how he's tired of talking about how his back's been up against the wall in all these matches, and he's just ready to go and show everybody why he's phenomenal. And then Nakamura comes out, and he starts to say, I hope you win because I'm going to beat you. AJ cuts him off, though, halfway through the sentence and says, I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania, and that was the end of that. Kind of cool, but, nothing memorable. Then you have Ruby Riott versus Charlotte. This match was, I was really worried about Riott stepping up into, essentially a main event match. I like her. I think she's had some good matches. I think she's pretty good in the ring, but this is definitely the next level. And I think she did all right. I do. I think she did pretty good with it. They had a couple of bits where the Riott Squad came out after Ruby Riott herself came out during the match, and it looked like they were gonna team up on Charlotte, and then Becky Lynch and Naomi come down and try to even things out, and then eventually both Becky Lynch and Naomi and Liv, and I can't remember the other girl's name from the Riott Squad, but they all get kicked out of the match. They all get kicked out of ringside. So the big spots here, of course, Ruby Riott getting her Riott kick on Charlotte. Charlotte kicks out. Charlotte doing a backflip off the barricade, off the fan barricade. That was kind of cool. And then, of course, the ending is Charlotte wins with the figure 8. So it was a pretty cool match. And then after the match, Asuka comes out. She is still yet to pick who she's going to face at WrestleMania, directly anyway. And so she actually comes out to the ring and looks at Charlotte, points to the WrestleMania sign. So now we know it's going to be Asuka versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And I think I would have liked the dynamic of seeing Asuka versus Alexa Bliss, but I think this could be another really good match because God knows that Charlotte Flair is incredibly, she's great in the ring. She is incredibly good. And Asuka, she's been pulling off just great matches all the time. So the potential is definitely there. of course, now that leaves a hole for Alexa Bliss and who she's going to face. But that's fine, because, I mean, now at least SmackDown side has a couple of matches that you really want to see. Asuka versus Charlotte, Nakamura versus Styles. Those are definitely two matches that I'm looking forward to. And that leads into the six-pack challenge, which is, of course, the main event, the longest match by far. And this was just a lot of good spots. I've said before how I like matches where there's a lot of guys, and the reason I like that is because you can have the action just keep going and keep going. You get guys a chance to sit outside the ring, and they're laying and they're hurting, but they have time to rest, and then they come back, and it's a very energetic match. And they actually had some lulls in this match, I think more than they should have, but they were used well, I will say that. Big thing was Sami Zayn actually laying down for Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens tries to pick Zayn off because he doesn't trust him, and Zayn tries to roll Kevin Owens up, and then that starts the feud back with those two, and they're going hot and heavy at each other. At one point, Zayn hits Owens with a haluva kick and goes to pin Owens, and of course that gets broken up. But there were a lot of really cool spots like that. And then there was a spot where Shane McMahon was out during the match, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were both outside fighting. Owens is down, and Zayn starts talking trash to Shane McMahon. Kevin Owens goes for a super kick on Zayn. Zayn moves, and of course he hits McMahon. So McMahon, Kevin Owens is back in the ring after all that. He's going for a pin, and McMahon pulls the referee out of the ring. And after that, Zayn is about to pin Owens, and then Shane McMahon pulls Zayn out of the ring. So, still don't know how they're going to build that up quite yet, but clearly they're doing something. Shane McMahon was talking about how he and Daniel Bryan don't always see eye to eye on everything, and that maybe Bryan's living vicariously through these two. So I still think that they're building something with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. I'm hoping it's Bryan's in-ring return, but it honestly could be the fact that he's running out of his contract, and he's already said that he wants to wrestle. Regardless of whether it's for WWE or not, he wants to wrestle again. So, they're building up that storyline for sure. At the end, AJ Styles comes through with his elbow on, I think it was Kevin Owens, gets the pin, and so we definitely know it is AJ Styles versus Nakamura. I really like that match on paper. Both of these guys are really, really good performers in the ring. They've definitely got the crowd behind them, so hopefully that'll keep the frenzy going during the match. So, I mean, it looks cool. It looks like, SmackDown, you've got Nakamura versus AJ Styles. I'm sure that's going to be good. You have Asuka versus Charlotte. I don't see how that couldn't be good because they're both great in the ring. On the Raw side of things, you have Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. I don't know how excited I am about that yet. There's certainly the intrigue of seeing Ronda Rousey in the ring for the first time. And Stephanie McMahon, I think she proved when she came back with that match against one of the Bellas that she's gotten better. And honestly, at the beginning of that match, she was kind of putting on a clinic. So, there's potential there. And then another big main event that we know about is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I'm going to be honest, I really don't care about this match at all. This is literally the match that Vince McMahon can go masturbate to, and nobody else is going to care about it. The fans are just not going to care. It's just the way it is. So, that's how WrestleMania is shaping up right now. You got two potentially very good matches. One I don't care about, and one I'm just on the fence with. So it's going to be interesting to see how they shape up the rest of the card in the next few weeks. As far as this pay-per-view, I honestly think that they could have done a lot better. I think they could have used some of the spots they were promoting Raw for either more matches or more time for matches, or even promos to get people some time on the mic during the pay-per-view. I thought it was a waste. The women's tag team match was a fucking botch fest from hell. I didn't like it at all. The finish for Usos and New Day, I'm really on the fence with. Like I said, I didn't hate it the way I heard some of the crowd booing. I don't know that I was a fan of the way it ended necessarily, but like I said, the Bludgeon Brothers needed the build. So I think that was cool. The opening was just okay. The second match was, it was better, but it wasn't great. So, honestly, considering this is the pay-per-view before WrestleMania, and you should be like massively building and trying to get people into the product, I'd give this like a 4 out of 10. I think we're back down to 4s. I think that they did a lot of things wrong here. And one match isn't going to make it any better. So, yeah, I think they really hurt themselves if they're trying to get people to watch WrestleMania. This wouldn't do it for me. Like, this pay-per-view, I'd be like, alright, you had one good match out of a whole card. I'm not really feeling that. So, I think they dropped the ball, and I think they dropped the ball in a big way. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If you've seen it, am I being too hard? I think I'm trying to be as fair as I can be, and being as fair as I can be. This was a bad card for a WrestleMania push pay-per-view. They should have done a lot more, in my opinion. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Cage Review. Cage Nation out.